will kind of start us off nicely. So before we get to our big commits, we got 2 recruiting-based super chats here, starting with YouTube member Nick. Again, with the interesting avatar there, and $1.99. He likes doing that. So he's one of our YouTube members who donates every show and was one of our first YouTube members. TJ, any smoke with Adonis Curry, top 50 cornerback?
Yeah. So I was going to touch on this later in the show a little bit. This is a name to be aware of. Michigan is in pursuit of multiple corners from Texas A&M. I would say this one appears to have the most traction, but we've got to remain cautious here. We'll see what they can do. Michigan's doing their best. Obviously, the next super chat's going to talk about Earls. We missed out on Earls. Well, this is kind of the solution. I don't want to say the solution, but this would be a potential solution if we were to be able to pull him from Texas A&M. He's a top 100 player, legit player, very good corner. We'll see what the boys can do. It's kind of in the early stages of development. We'll see what happens. I'm hoping that Michigan can make a move here. This is a elite talent, so we'll see what they can do. We have another corner we'll discuss later in the show that people should also be aware of. And we'll just have to see. I mean, obviously the recruiting class is going great, but there is some holes in the class right now, and corner's one of them, and a lot of people are wondering where are we going to go, and we're gonna have to let the boys, the coaching staff, kind of solidify their board right now after missing out on Earls, like Drufus pointed out here. Thank you, Drufus, for your super chat. We appreciate it. Your $1.99 super chat. So we have potentially Adonis Curry as a target, and then there's another name that we will get to later in the show that I will hit on.
Nice. If you have been watching Michigan Wolverines live and TJ's stuff and everything, we had kind of said that Earls was looking a little bit more in the Georgia direction as of the last week or so. Michigan did make I actually love the fact that Michigan made the push that they did, but I expected Georgia to get it. It's not exactly a shock. But we do appreciate that $1.99, Drufus.
Yeah.
And we'll go to Al here, and then we'll get to our big topics. But any updates on Elijah Melendez?
Yeah, the update on Elijah Melendez is, unfortunately, that seems to be trending away. He's going to be, he may be locked into Miami, he may not, but at the end of the day, he's, let's just say, he's a fan of McDonald's. Let's just put it that way. If anyone catches what that means, you'll understand. So he's with Miami. That's telling in itself. It does seem to be trending away. The Michigan coaching staff appears to be looking elsewhere for other linebacker targets. Obviously, Wasu Bang is the main target right now. We just missed out on another target, which we'll hit on later in the recruiting segment. But so I would say it's trending away. But I mean, I'll also say this during the regular season, and if Miami has a bad year, you just never know. You just never know. So we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
He likes McDonald's, and we have a couple of YouTube members, and our buddy, friend of the program, Antoine, who's going to be very happy, I think, with our next topic here. Which is this. Let Sherrone cook, folks. I am thrilled with I was on a plane when these announcements were made. We were stuck on an airplane because Georgia was having some weather. So we were there for about 2 hours. And while that was happening, these Olesh and Taylor both broke not that far away from each other, and even though people were kind of bummed out around me, I had a giant smile on my face because Sherrone Moore is really ramping up now. And those of you who've been watching, we've been talking about this guy, Andrew Olesh, who is out of Pennsylvania. We love people out of Pennsylvania, as I'm from Pennsylvania as well. He went to Southern Lehigh, and it's very exciting to have him. He was told during the recruiting process, and TJ, I want to get your thoughts too. But he was told during the recruiting process. This is something that stuck with me from the one article I read, that his dad was featured in. That they told him that he would be like another Colston Loveland, or even better, and utilized in a very similar way. So TJ, I mean, what do you think they're planning to do with this? Do you think he could measure up to a Colston Loveland type with his talents?
Absolutely. This kid is elite, man. I mean, the Michigan Circle believes that he is the best, this is saying a lot. They believe he is the best tight end since Colston Loveland. And I'm going to tell you guys, we got an elite tight end last year in Brady Prescorn. So yeah, I mean, like we landed, and you will see in this highlight tape right now, an extremely athletically gifted tight end. We have the type of tight end who not only you can split him out, he's a wide type tight end. Not only is he going to split out, but you can also put him in the X position, right? He can play X. So not only do we have Jacob Washington, who's an X wide receiver, and you're seeing him right now play the X right now, playing outside.
There it is.
Yeah, I mean, he has that capability. And we talked about this, and I talked about this in the recruiting breakdown. When it comes to expanding the playbook, these are the type of weapons with an Andrew Marsh, with a Jacob Washington, with potentially a Philip Wright, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, with a Jordan Marshall, a Micah Capana, a Jasper Parker, and a Brady Hart. And, and Jaden Davis. I'm not going to, and then if Carter Smith can get his mechanics down, absolutely. This is how you expand a playbook. These type of playmakers, and Michigan is targeting these types of playmakers. These are big time gets, guys. Like there's no sugarcoating this. This is a legit tight end. We beat Alabama for him. We beat Penn State for him. Michigan did what they needed to do to close this, and we got him. And I'm going to tell you guys. I mean, again, like I said, I'm going to tell you. You put Brady Prescorn out there with Andrew Olish. Holy shit, dude! Like that duo could be the most dangerous tight end duo we've ever had. It really could. It has that potential.
Yeah, and what we're talking about is clearly a top 100 player. TJ, would you say the number one tight end, maybe the number two tight end in the entire class?
I'd put him top two, but he's arguably top three, but he's arguably one of the most offensively gifted tight ends in the last two cycles. That's how good he is. He's an offensive specialist. He's a freaking weapon, dude.
So if he can play the X, the idea of, I don't know if some of these recruiting services, they think of, okay, there's a slot for players. Maybe they don't value position versatility quite as much, although if he is ranked number two kind of consensus, I guess that's a 2 or 3. He's doing pretty well. We had talked earlier about blocking. I'm sure in the tight end position,
because it all starts with the Texas, Michigan.
Care about. Sorry, heard something.
You're good.
Okay. I'm sure they care about blocking with the tight end position. Maybe not some other positions, but just sort of in general, he's ranked high, and he's somebody we want, which is actually a little bit different than Colston Loveland, who wasn't ranked that high, but we were laser focused on him. So right. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, just excellent talent identification from the staff. Look at Steve Kasula. Shout out to Steve Kasula. Shout out to Kirk Campbell, Sherrone Moore for getting this. I mean, the potential for this class, weapon-wise, with Olish, Marsh, Wright, Jacob Washington, dangerous. These are dangerous weapons, guys. Like we are getting like, yeah, okay, like some schools may be getting the 5 stars, whatever. But like these kids are. You put them in the weight room for a good year or two, and they're going to be problems on the field. There's no question about that. And with Andrew Marsh, it might be quicker than that might be a freshman starter, really.
Yeah, and last week we discussed the Georgia standard and what it was going to take to raise it to that 47%. or higher of a pass percentage, it's going to take players like Olesh. It's going to take players like Marsh. It's going to take people who can go in and out of different positions in the wide receiver sets, the X position, etc., and can move around. Olesh can play the X position. He can play the slot. He can move around, and he can block. He can do it all. He is one of the more impressive. I mean, he does remind me from the height perspective of Colston Loveland, from the receiving ability perspective of Colston Loveland. I can see exactly why they said in the recruiting process, yeah, we see you as a Colston Loveland type in the offense.
In my opinion,
it didn't hurt that Sherrone Moore worked out with his dad too. You know, that was I enjoyed that part of the article too.
In my opinion, though, he's more athletic than Colston Loveland. Colston Loveland's a little bit more well-rounded. You could put him in line. This kid will be more split wide in the slot or out wide in the X position. He is more athletic. Like, he reminds me of a damn gazelle. That's what I called him in the recruiting breakdown. And I'm telling you, the kid is special, man. I'm really excited I'm just so happy we got him in the class, especially with the quarterback outlook for the next 5 years. Jesus. Beautiful.
It's true. Blue and look, yeah, I think that it just continues with the defense in a second. But we do want to say thank you to Blue Wolverine, who's reminding everybody to hit that like button. It just takes a second, and it's free. So if you do nothing else to support us, I mean, the like button's just 2 seconds, and it'll help push us out to even more folks. So thank you for that. So then we get to the defensive side of the ball, and man, did I love this one. This was announced, and I was actually I was hanging out with a friend of the program, Maze Madman, on his show, and we had some Notre Dame fans going absolutely apeshit over this. And so 4-star safety Ivan Taylor flips from Notre Dame to Michigan. And there was a narrative here, TJ. Is he doing this because he was afraid of competition? And I thought, actually, I think he's the opposite. I think he wants to dive into competition and play at the national championship, at the national champion school. What's your take on that narrative? Because I think it's a fascinating thought from some Notre Dame people.
Well, look, here's the reality of recruiting. You know, it's the 5 versus 6 offensive linemen in a class. If you have 4 safeties in your class, there's going to be a kid who feels like he's not getting the focus or the attention. And the reality is when Jadon Blair committed to Notre Dame, that just made the door open for Michigan to be like, all right, look, you're a priority for us. We don't want another safety. You're our guy. Okay. And this is the kid that I called the jackhammer. Okay. If you watch his highlight tape, this kid lays people out. Okay. Not only is he excellent in pass coverage, which, John, do we have the huddle tape or are we not able to play that?
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay. Not only is this kid excellent in coverage because he learned from his dad, Ike Taylor, former NFL Super Bowl champion cornerback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. You could just tell this kid's film, his high IQ, very instinctive. His awareness is extremely high. No fly zone type of player. Kainoa Winston with Ivan Taylor, no fly zone, bro. That's what's going to happen there. And if we can land an elite corner, even better, right? This kid also is very aggressive. He's an aggressive tackler, a willing tackler, will step up, make the play, able to shed blocks. I'm telling you guys, we got another elite cornerstone player with this one. Michigan was able to flip it. And last week, if you guys were watching our show, I told you, Michigan is going all in on top targets right now. They are upping the offers. They are going more aggressive. They're talking about playing time. The NIL is healthy. Okay. They're doing a lot right now. And I told you guys, we got to be patient. We got to let the class grow. We are now at 11. And the way we're trending is by Saturday, we could actually creep into the top 10, which we'll talk about more later in the segment. But I'm just telling you, like, Michigan is doing what it needs to do. The class is not perfect yet. There is some needs that still need to be filled out. But you are starting to see, and there was an article, and I posted this on Twitter. There was an article by On3. Michigan has more top 100 recruits than they've had since 2002, which essentially was pre-NIL players, because NIL was only around for 6 months at the time. So it was not a very developed market at the time. And so now Michigan has the most top 100 players. And if anyone's been following our channel, you would know why that is. Most people, and it's funny, John and Ferris, I'm looking at other Michigan communities. I'm watching other videos. I'm looking at some message boards. And I'm like, and they have no idea. I mean, some do. Some are tapped in. But a lot of the Michigan community still has no idea how this is happening. You know, I saw someone post a comment about, oh, we're finally getting the national title bump, and that's cool. But the reality is, no, Michigan has evolved its approach, and that not only that, the recruiting department is far more aggressive, far more expanded, and Michigan has done what they needed to do to become competitive for these top elite talents, which we were not before, and now we are, and we are landing those. And there are more elite talents that we're going to talk about later in the segment, like Andrew Babaloa, like Andrew Marsh, that Michigan is looking pretty good for right now. So again, hats off to Michigan, hats off to the collectives, hats off to the entire coaching staff for putting in work right now, because they're landing some serious players. This class is looking very good.
Yeah, and Taylor is a upper level 4-star, right? I mean, he's kind of almost a
top
borderline.
50.
Yeah.
Top 50 player.
Yeah. So just keep that in mind. This is the kind of player that maybe we wouldn't get in the past. So.
Yeah, and Justin said it very well. Stole Notre Dame's best safety,
best recruit.
So
he was the highest rated recruit.
Best recruit, and not only that, but Justin said again, Lamar Morgan got us 2 top 5 safeties.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Lamar Morgan. Look at his transfer portal haul. Now look at his safety haul. Now, if we can just get that corner, if we can just get that lockdown corner this class, wow. You know, there is another corner that we're trending well with right now. We'll talk about soon. But yeah, Lamar Morgan is looking like a very plus recruiter. Lou Esposito's looking like a very plus recruiter. Obviously, Grant Newsom, strong recruiter. Kirk Campbell is A++ recruiter. I mean, his haul, Jaden Davis, Carter Smith, Brady Hart, is fantastic. And Ron Bellamy, bro, hey, send your handwritten letters to Ron Bellamy, because he's putting in work right now. Now that he's got some NIL to be competitive with some of these other schools, he's able to do what he needs to do. But yeah, corner, and then, Brian Jean-Marie, hey, if you can pull a Wasu Boateng, then hey, you got it. Then we're looking good at every level, man. Every level.
Look, this wasn't even a topic, but it just came to my head. That there was some social media going on with the Wasu Boateng when this was announced about Ivan Taylor. He was kind of doing one of these, and then it was interesting, kind of his reactions, and it we had kind of said that it might have been he might have been slightly going the Notre Dame route. Do you read anything into what he was saying on social? Do you think that this might have helped reset a little bit, given his some of what he's been doing with the official visits and how he's approaching the Wasu Boateng?
Yeah, so this recruitment, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, put your seatbelts on, because it's going to be a roller coaster, okay? This is going to be emotionally driven. This is going to be a big recruitment we're going to follow, because he doesn't plan on shutting it down for a while. So we're going to be talking about Wasu Boateng for a minute. But I'll say this, Notre Dame's class is kind of falling apart right now. Their quarterback in their class is going to visit Ole Miss, who he's from Mississippi. They got other kids that might be trending elsewhere. So, hey, if Notre Dame's class falls apart, that only puts Michigan in a better position. Right now, it's a Notre Dame Michigan battle. I'd say those are the top 2. I do think at this moment Notre Dame still has the edge, but I do expect Michigan to try and get him back on campus during the fall for a game, and then we'll really get a good read on it. And we're talking about an elite talent here, guys. So it's like dating the hottest girl. She's a 10, right? There's going to be competition. It's not going to be easy. Michigan's going to give their best effort here. But I think, and if Notre Dame doesn't have a good year on the field, that could also be the difference. And obviously, Ivan Taylor coming to Michigan, it'll make you think, bro. It'll make you think. So we'll be tapped in. We'll keep everybody up to date on it, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, just a side note, I don't like Notre Dame, so this is extra special. For
Oh,
me.
you too? You too? That's crazy.
That is so shocking. As a Michigan fan, you don't like Notre Dame. Yeah, it's only recently that like Notre Dame's become like a little bit more like, and I think a lot of it has to do with Will ND is a great friend of the show and great friend of the network. Shout out to him, by the way. He's dealing with a lot of personal shit right now. But like, I think that that's also been part of it for me is like, I don't hate Notre Dame quite as much because of Will. And D-Rock and some of the really cool members of the community that are Notre Dame fans. But at the same, and also we don't play them very much. We don't play them again until what, 2030, 33
I don't know.
or something
Yeah,
like
whatever.
that. So it's
They
like,
ran away from us, dude.
yeah, join the Big Ten